Hey, welcome to datingwhileadulting.com. This is Michael. That's Reggie. Say hi, Reggie.
Hi, Reggie.
All right, you know the spill, datingwhileadulting.com. Go there to find everything. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the podcast, the YouTube feed. You can see recent Twitter feeds. You can read blog posts. Whatever you need, you can go there. And a plus, and then, of course, if you're on your phone and all that stuff, you can go to your favorite place where you get podcasts and get the podcast there. One thing I also want to notice that if you pull up Dating While Adulting on your phone, to get access to the things on the right rail, you have to turn your phone in landscape mode, and that's where you can see the tweets. So obviously, if you're on your laptop or whatever, you don't have to do that. But just so you know, go to datingwhileadulting.com. Email us at podcast@datingwhileadulting.com. Or if you want to just tell me something that you don't want Reggie to hear, go to Michael at datingwhileadulting.com, or vice versa. Go to Rettenbush at datingwhileadulting.com. Okay. So
Probably need to check my email, particularly after that last podcast. Well, because like, oh my God, he's such a bully, blah, blah. No, I'm not a bully. I am a dickhead. I would admit, I am a dickhead. And you need to be able to deal with dickheads. But I'm not a bully.
the point is that the point is
I
that
hate your guts. That's the point is I hate your guts.
okay. The point is beyond his hating my guts is that we beat up on Reggie pretty good on what was it, the weaknesses part two episode of the podcast, which was pretty enjoyable for me.
Of
Now,
course.
today what we want to talk about, we're not going to spend that much time before we get into it. On one of the podcasts that we had back in the day, one of the things that we mentioned, one of the things that I mentioned, we didn't do a topic on this, but it just came up in the course of our conversation, was I talked about how women have a list, and I read that thing that a friend of mine sent me where a woman was talking about how she talked to a man and the man was like, what do you want from a woman? And then she went off on him and she told him at the end, send this to all your girlfriends and all that stuff. And I said to myself and to Reggie and to you all, yeah, that women seem to have this universal list, and men don't seem to have that same type of list, and maybe we should have a list. And I asked Reggie at the time what his list was, and Reggie vaguely went into all of these hemming and humming, talking about all of this hemming and humming, talking about how he had a list, he needed to revise his list, and what type of list. And
Yeah,
so
I got married. Why I don't need to keep a constant list because I got married.
huh,
Why should I keep that list?
that is a very good point, actually. So
But I'm gonna disagree with you. I think men do have a list. The list isn't as extensive as a woman's list.
And I wonder about that because, and that's one thing. It's funny because I talk to a lot of women to try to get their perspectives on things because I want to know more about women. But one thing I don't do is ask enough men these questions, because I would just think off the top of my head that most men, if you ask them, what do you want from a woman? I don't really know if I don't really know if they would have an answer. And if they did have an answer, how specific that answer would be. So I hate to think that I'm being critical of women for not necessarily being specific with their list when men don't do it either. But that's
I
something
think
that,
men actually. I mean,
uh-huh.
not to cut you in. I think that men do have a list. They have an extensive list. But going back to a podcast you said earlier, we were talking about the whole Food Network and cooking thing. Part of your list, or not on your list, is the fact that you don't need a woman to cook for you. That's not on your list. I think that if you ask the typical man, the first thing he's going to say is, my list is she has to look good. That's one. The sex, two, which goes into looking good. And they're gonna do the whole traditional route of, oh, she has to cook and clean and blah blah blah. But I don't think that men either A have allowed themselves, well, not A, they have not allowed themselves to expand exactly what they really want because they don't think it's manly to sit there saying, no, I don't need no chick to cook for me. I need her to do this emotional stuff and blah blah. because it's not manly. So they're just gonna stick with the traditional things of what a man wants. Oh yeah, I need her to cook for me. I need her to have sex. I need her to look good all the time, and I'd be happy.
Well, the
Which
one
is
thing,
actually probably a little deeper than it actually is, but they're not going to dig that deep.
the one thing I will say is that when I talk to women, it, going back to the cooking thing, I'm amazed at how many women actually tell me that they meet men that still have demands that they have to cook. And that's interesting because there are more and more women out here that cook less
Don't
and
cook.
less.
Don't cook.
Yeah,
They don't
but
cook.
but it's funny. I talk to women who still say that they meet guys who say they want a woman like their mother, and that's another thing I thought was out of style,
Ooh.
but apparently not.
Well, no, that would never be. See, that's the thing about it. That would never be out of style. But I don't think that these men, articulate exactly what aspect of their mother they want to transfer to their wife.
Uh,
And they do the superficial thing. Oh, my mom cooked for me. She cleaned up my clothes. I mean, she washed my clothes and all the superficial thing. But on a deeper emotional level, it may be more on the fact that I want to say, and going to my list a little. And I trimmed down my list. Um, Actually, I trimmed down my list to songs. I always had my emotional slash relationship slash love philosophy attribute to certain songs. But going back to that, men do not ask for that emotional security that women say they want, because men don't do it because it makes us seem going back to two other podcasts, weak. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do the traditional thing. Oh, I just want her to cook and clean, and I want her to do this. So that would show me, quote unquote, that she loves me if she do these things. That would give me emotional security, quote unquote, if she do these things, versus really asking for what you really need. So I think it's a restriction on the emotional aspect, because men, in Western civilization, are not necessarily judged, quote unquote, masculine by expressing emotions, unless it's anger or what's the other one? It's two of them. Anger. I can't remember the other one. We supposed to be, quote unquote, stoic with a small s, not a big S.
well, I, and I do understand that, like in an old school sense. But if you're telling a woman that I want you to be like, I want a woman like my mother, or a woman like their mother, or something like that. One, I don't really understand how a woman can really respect you in that sense. And the second thing is,
Why not? Hold up. Why not? Because that's your first caregiver. Why don't you? That's your first role model. What you think the opposites, going on both sides. That's the first role model of what you think love and relationship is supposed to be.
I guess it all depends on how you view your relationship with your mother. Because
Oh,
for example, when I meet a woman and she says that I want a man to treat me like my daddy did, I think of somebody that just kind of like did everything for you, and then the other part of it is beat that ass when you got out of line. And so I can't really respect anybody if I have to like teach them how to grow up. And I don't think they meet it in that regard. But when you talk about, like you said, not compartmentalizing and just saying, to keep it back on track, to talk about a man talking about, I want somebody like my mother, because you hear that more than women saying they want somebody like their dad. But for a man saying, I want somebody like my mother, it's like I think of somebody that's just always lecturing you to get your stuff together and do what you need to do, and always having to remind you, did you do this, did you do that, did you do that? Now there's that cooking and washing the clothes aspect, but I instantly think about those other things that a mother had to do in raising you. And it's like, if I'm a woman and I'm thinking like that, and then I treat you like that, like your mother, then you're gonna get all in your feelings and stuff, talking about you not letting me be a man.
no, no, actually that's a good point. And just pick it back in what you sit there and said, and you're right, but you're misdirected, because what, in my opinion, um, What they really want is that emotional security and that emotional space that their mother gave. And to put it bluntly, what most people want, they want someone to love them unconditionally, like their parents did.
What,
And
what's the
go ahead.
emotional space that? What do you mean by that?
The emotional space to actually be yourself without being judged.
Do mothers do that?
Yes. Well, good mothers do that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Good mothers do that. Good mothers allow good parents, not even mothers, not even
Mhm.
mothers. So let me back this up. Good parents give you the emotional space to be you with your insecurities, and all that other stuff. Growing up as a child to find out who you really are and direct you in the right situations. Like I said, this is idealistic. I understand that, so let's not trip. But if you have a parent who does it 70% of the time, you're going to turn out to be very well adjusted.
It's funny how you move like Joe Cocker when you're trying to make a point. Sorry for the daily reference, but I get that. But I guess when and we don't date women, but just and I hadn't asked women
I do
that,
date
but
women. What are you talking about?
I mean
I
we
don't
don't
date
date.
women. I don't date women right now. But what are you
I,
talking
all right, it was a Freudian slip. You don't have to like over masculinize
I'm not.
yourself.
I'm not. If
Yeah,
I was to date men, I had the same requirements.
but if you, I probably have different requirements.
No, because I need that emotional space.
Yeah,
That goes back to my list.
but I guess I get what you're saying, and that's a good point. I don't disagree with that. I guess my thing is when guys talk about these guys, when they tell these women that stuff about, yeah, I want somebody like their mother. Do you think they're talking about cooking and cleaning, or do you think they're talking about emotional space?
No, they're talking about cooking and cleaning, but on the surface of it, subconsciously, they're talking about that emotional space, but they're not going to go that deep to analyze themselves what they really want.
See, I
They
kind of
just know they just know the act of it. They don't understand the why or why they feel that certain way. Because most men are not programmed to assess the why. We just know that, well, my mom cooked and cleaned for me and blah blah, so therefore she loves me.
I kind of look at it in the same way that, like, remember we had conversations back in the day about, and I think we talked about this on one of the podcasts. I don't remember,
We have
but
so many now.
well, and we just talk so much. We
Yeah,
talk
no,
a
for
lot of
real.
ish. But you talk about these couples that have been married. When I meet women and they're like, I want a traditional relationship like they had back in the 50s and 60s. So it's like they can cherry pick the things that were good about relationships in the 50s and 60s, where it's like a man had to go out and earn the bread and do all of this and all of this. But they want to ignore the bad part about those marriages from the 50s and 60s where a dude could smack her up and she had no recourse to do anything about it. But
Smack that bitch up.
yeah, because if she went to the police, I used to like that song.
I
I
know,
mean,
for real.
nobody
Just saying.
listening knows what
Just
that
saying.
song
Had
is.
to throw that out there.
But they had another song too that I used to love. Oh, no need. Anyway, so yeah, so they cherry pick those things where a man had to go out and work and stuff and bring the money home and stuff like that, but they like leave out the part where he pretty much had to do he she had to do whatever he said, and otherwise you get the
Smack that
consequences
bitch up.
of, yeah, of what he said. And I think it's the same thing when guys today talk about they want somebody like their mother. Even if those guys are thoughtful enough to talk about the emotional space that a parent can give, it still forgets the nagging and the stuff that comes along that a mother can do, because mothers needed to do that in the course of keeping especially boys on the straight and narrow.
It's more of a symbolic thing, more so than a literal thing. Because right now, I think, I'm not speaking for you, but actually speaking for you. Um, it's a symbolism of the fact that what those acts were versus the fact that she's actually doing it. Because yes, a mother's role is both of those. I need to, I'm not being a mother, So all the mothers out there, please correct me. But as a father, I will put it this way:
You're not
my
a father
role,
either.
if I was a father, dang, you know what?
You can say if you were a mother.
No, because there's there's as much as I want to narrow the genders, there are certain attributes that mothers and fathers do not cross. The
But you're
mother will,
neither. You
huh?
just don't want to put yourself in a position to think like a woman. Man, let that estrogen out, man. Explore your inner feminine side, your inner woman, your inner
Okay,
Regina.
my well, trust me, it's not that hard. Not that hard, but
There's that.
the nurturing aspect of a parent, period. Not putting gender roles on this. Let's keep this real.
Mhm.
My real thinking
Mhm.
is to make sure that my prodigy grows up to be, first of all, better than I was. So
Yes.
all my knowledge and everything I have, I need to transfer it to him. Look, I or her, particularly her. Man, you don't need to do this and blah blah blah. You need to think about this and da, 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 da. But at the same time, I need to protect you as much as possible. This is the thing that I don't know how we got on this subject, but I need to protect you to a point where I need to stop protecting you because I think one of the issues that's going on in today's society is the fact that we protect kids a little too much.
Okay.
And so they're not able to function exactly when they actually leave the nest. Um, my mother, God bless her soul, was a very, we talked about this offline. I talked about this with a friend of mine. I wanted a woman like my mother. I used to be, going to that phrase. I wanted a woman like my mother, and I was phrasing it, and I thought these things. She was confident and blah blah blah, and all this other blah blah blah. Uh, my friend Quincy and you was like, no, see, you're missing one aspect. Your mother just had a presence about her. It had nothing to do with the fact that she was a woman or she was one of these women that just was like, I mean, she's one of these humans that was like blah. Said, oh, I get it now. Because all my years, I was like, the confidence and the dynamicism and the debating and the intellectual sparring and all this other stuff, blah, blah. No, I just need that presence of this is who I am. This is what I will be. This is my journey. And I know exactly where I'm going. Are you going with me? Yes or no? If you're not going with me, peace out. I don't need you to go with me. I would like for you. And, you know, I did not understand that until recently, really, because I was still stuck on the superficial aspect, going back to that list of, oh, you have 6 figures, or she needs to be intelligent, and oh, she needs to be this, and she needs to be that, and cook for me. No, no, no. That emotional space to understand that the security that I have with my mother is when at my weakest moment, and as I've gotten to be the tender age of 51, and when she died um, years back, that emotional space of me being my truly 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old self, of going to someone and say, "Hey, I'm fucking scared. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
See.
I need you to help me understand where this fear is coming from." And she's giving you space to figure that out for you, for yourself. She's giving you space. So, when I say that, ultimately, when I sit there and say that's what I want I want someone to be like my mother. That's what I need. Now, other guys, they manifest it on a little more of a superficial aspect where, I need cooking and cleaning and blah 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 because it makes me feel comfortable and secure. And they never get too deep into the emotional aspect because in our society men aren't going to get deep in emotional shit. We're just not. We're not programmed to do that shit. We programmed to suppress that shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Programmed by parents who tell us to suck it up. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and that makes perfect sense to me. I hope it does to everybody else out there listening, watching, or whatever they're doing. But I guess my thing is the flaw is when talking about a list, just saying something as vague as I want someone like my mother,
True.
when there is good
And
and
bad.
bad that comes with that. How does a person know? Kind of like going back to the woman saying that she wants a traditional marriage and all that stuff. How do you know what parts to separate that? And to someone of the opposite sex, they don't understand that relationship with with your mother the same way that I wouldn't necessarily understand their relationship with their father. So if you don't articulate that to them and just say something as blanket as my list is I want somebody like my mama. And,
Exactly.
and so it's like
Exactly.
to a woman, if I'm a woman, I'm thinking that's a hell of a lot of work to
That's
be
the, you
your
know
mother.
what? I ain't in this, but fuck, I'm out. Did you
Right,
say
right.
so?
I
I
am
still try to
not
take
in
everything
this mess
fuck.
to wipe your nose and to be like your mother, but to
All right.
provide that
Hold up.
emotional support and security.
Hold up. Can I do my song? Better call Tyrone. Call him. Okay, that was all off. Oh, fuck up. Oh, shit. Okay.
Now that you can actually see my face during these times, you can see that I just look down when he does this stuff. I don't want anybody to think I'm co-signing this. It's just Reggie being Reggie. Yep. So and then the fact that he like asks, "Can I do my song?" as if I have the power to do anything to stop him. So I just yeah. Do your
You
thing.
do. You have the power to say no. Okay, never mind.
Well,
Never
we're gonna try that next time and see how
mind. You
that
would
works
try
out for
it
me.
this time, yes.
Yeah, yeah. See how that
Okay.
works out for me.
Yeah, it would work. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like my good friend says, Joseph, how did that work out for you?
yeah. So yeah. So it's like that type of vague stuff, and I think that's comes back to even if a woman's list isn't as well defined as you and I might feel, or a man in general feels like it should be. At least there's a framework of something like I want a man to do this, I want a man to do that. Now, while I'm doing that voice,
I was
because
going to
I have
ask you
sound.
about that.
Because when I've heard the hundreds of women tell me about the things that they want in a man, that's the way it sounds in my ear. I want a man do this. I want a man do that. And at least there's a framework there that seems to be shared amongst women. They are so good at telling us what we need to do to be considered a man, or not even that, but
No,
just
no, 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 no. Don't back off. Don't back off.
mm,
You
no,
nope.
no, I'm backing off because they don't all say to be a man, to be with them. And because that woman that in that
But
text
you
that
know in
I
the back of
read,
their no, no, but you know in the back of their mind, there's thinking,
nah, I don't want to do that though.
I'm gonna do that.
I don't want
I
to
do it.
put stuff in.
I do it. I'll call
Nah,
it out. I'll be
nah,
that. I'll be that. I'll be that guy.
nah. If they don't say it to me, I'm not going to assume because other
I'm
women
going to
have
assume.
assumed. That's what we always accuse them of doing.
Yep,
So
you're right.
I don't want to do that to them. Say, well, these last 8 women did this or thought this when they said this, so you must do mean it too. So no, I'm
No,
not.
no, well, no, oh no, I see. I'm not gonna think about the last 8 women, blah blah. But it's simple time. It's simple thing is this. You know, going off topic a little bit. Women do like to define what manhood is for men, and whether Michael, you're my brother, whether you agree with this or not, women will define what a man is and what kind of man you should be to them versus the fact that you define, no, this is who I am and I'm a man because, going back to the last podcast a couple of times, you have a wiener. Um,
Oh, that wasn't the
why
last
did I say wiener? What the fuck?
that was
Anyway,
the last podcast.
yeah, no,
But
that was just weird.
yeah, but the thing is, we did a whole podcast on that, and we talked about that. What I don't want to do though is make this contentious by implying that they're doing something in
I'm
this
a bully,
that
so
they
yes,
might
I'm
not
gonna
be
make it
doing.
contentious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it just kind of distracts from the point that I'm trying to make, which is that, and basically what I'm doing is I'm bigging them up for it because at least there's a framework that they can use and say, to be with me, you need to do this. This is what I want to be with me. And we don't have that. That's why I asked about your list, because I
I
think men in
disagree. I
general,
think, like I said, I still disagree. Going back, circling wagons. I disagree. We do have a list. It's just not as extensive as theirs.
well, that's the whole thing. Maybe it should be. Maybe the fact that there are only like three things. And first of all, I did this. La, la, la. I dispute
Blah,
whether
blah, blah.
there's a list at all that men have. Again, I need to do some research on that.
No, because
Uh,
like you said it before. I need a woman to cook, clean, have my babies, and but in my opinion, um, those lists, but on both sides, are not very detailed. This is a surface shit that is we're not talking about emotionalism. We're not talking about psychological aspects of what you really want. You're just talking about the fact that in the essence of being in a relationship, you want to have, in my opinion, the space to grow, to be inspired, to feel safe, to feel vulnerable, to feel strength, and all these things. This is why you want to get in these relationships. These are emotional, psychological aspects that people not talking about. The protection thing. Me and you used to always talk about protection. Why a woman need a protection? Blah blah. There's no saber-tooth tigers. But if you dig beyond just the surface aspect of it, it's about psychological, subconscious, emotional issues and areas that people don't dig that deep down to realize I want to feel, you know, um, as I did some research earlier, when you are first, when you're in the womb, this is the thing. This is my theory. You're in, well, hypothesis. I haven't tested it yet. When you're in the womb, you're chilling. Everything is cool. Everything is provided you, blah, blah. Then you birth. And then in order to become aware of your environment, you feel the coldness that you never felt before in your life. Someone's, may or may not smack you in the ass to get you to breathe. The comfort that you get, the very first comfort that you get is when they give you to your mother. That is your security blanket. That is your world. That's the person who's supposed to protect you and save you from all this crazy stuff that you've never been exposed to. And from 0 to 2 to 3, the person, for the most part, that saves you from the crazy chaosness. What the hell is chaos? The chaotic world that you don't understand anymore is that mother figure.
so we're
And,
back on the mother. Want somebody like their mother,
well, just parents, period. I'm using mother because I'm a guy.
right?
But no. Actually, I'm using no mother because the mother aspect, the mother concept is the person who first introduces you to the world to make you understand if the world is a safe place to venture in or something to fear.
But yeah, I get that, and yeah, I agree with you on the whole mother thing. I'm just saying though that regardless of whether it's surface or whether or how deep it is or whatever it is, my point is that at least women have something that you can say, okay,
Oh,
take
okay.
these points and let me dig a little bit deeper on those. Whereas if you ask a guy, it's like and the fact that a woman will come to you and present to say, here, this is what I want. And I don't know that guys are going to women and saying, this is what I want. So like a fair exchange. It's just like a woman presents what she wants, and then the dude starts bitching and moaning because she's demanding so much stuff instead of saying, okay, I see your list and here's mine. And I'll raise you mine. So it's
But
like an
see,
exchange instead of like just seems like her demanding stuff. You're demanding stuff as well, equal exchange. And I don't think that that's happening.
no, no, you're absolutely positively right because that's one of the issues that if I would talk for you on this, the issues that you have because most women aren't used to having a guy, you sit there and say, okay, that's your list. I get that. Here's my list.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
And
you're not supposed to have a list.
and my homeboy, he does something that I love. He's been married, so he's out of the game. So he only asks the question just out of fun when we're in group settings. But he'll ask like, "What are your three things?" Like so to cut off the whole thing of waiting for them to give an extensive list. He's like, "Yo, what are your top three?" And it's like just your top three. We'll deal with the others later, but just give
Yep.
me your top three. and it's interesting to hear the results of those. And
How so?
well, it's funny because when I've heard him ask women, friends of mine and stuff like that, what's their top three, it's hard for them to narrow the top three. They'll start mentioning 5 and 6 things, like no, and he'll always have to like check them and be like, no, just three. Only three can be in. So if you put this one in, you got to kick something out. And it's fascinating watching that exercise. And like I said, he just does it for kicks and giggles, and I be up there taking notes because shit, I'm the one that's out here dating and stuff like that. I think that's fascinating. But that's it. But we got 15 minutes left, and I don't want to like waste too much time. I want to hear this list that you've like crafted and forged in steel, that you've done, married man, having to revisit this and all of this. Give me this list that you have.
Actually, there's no list, because this is the thing. Like
Sure,
I
there's
said,
no
I
list.
do.
What's
Hold
it
on,
on
let
the
me.
list?
Can you cut him a wisdom?
Okay.
This is not a list. I'm gonna put this in a concept, because had this whole list of checkpoints and blah blah. Particularly going at cut this out. When I was dating and in the game, I had a philosophy that revolved around two songs: Adore and Girlfriend. And if you understood the meanings of those two songs, you got me to do whatever you wanted me to do. As I've gotten older, there's two more songs that check the list, as I actually understand and then understood the balances of relationships. Walk the Line by Johnny Cash, and ultimately, even above the Prince songs, The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. And excuse me, because I got to dip down to actually get the lyrics to the chorus, because most people probably don't know. So, Michael, would you give me 30, 45 seconds of chatters while I reach down to get the...
It's gonna take you 45 minutes to reach down.
Not 45 minutes, 45 seconds. Did I say 45 minutes?
45 seconds even. Anyway, the thing that I find weird about all of this while you're reaching down for the
You
45
find everything weird. That's the
well,
problem.
no, we had a conversation.
No, trust me, I have the list. I have the... where's the camera? I have the list, but dude, I'm trying to cut this down.
I literally just asked you, what's this list that you've been telling me about for days? And you said, actually, I don't have a list. That was your response.
I do have a... No, I never said I didn't have a list. I said my list is outdated because I'm married. I don't have a list.
You know that we record these things. In the last episode, was it the last episode?
No, it wasn't last episode.
You said that you had been working on a list.
I had said I had to revise my list.
Okay, cool. Which means there's a list that was there, and you told me offline that you before we started this podcast today, you said that you were talking to like some friends to like get the list right, and now you're talking about people need to listen to songs.
No, I'm not saying no. I was using the song as my philosophies and stuff like that. I was gonna get this whole list of, you need to be this and this, because I do have that. But
I want to hear a list. It's like, whether it's now or later, I want a list. I've been waiting on the list. I want to hear a list. Damn it.
I give you a list. But right now, I'm going to do the song.
Listen, no damn gambler. Gotta know when to fold them and fold them.
Oh, no. Say that. No. That's the chorus. Go ahead. Go, my man.
Man, look, gotta know when to walk away.
You need to know when to hold them. You need to know when to fold them. You need to know when to walk away. You know when to run. Never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. That's the mentality. The mentality is the simple fact that you are able to, as a list, one of the lists, you need to be able to be intelligent enough and aware enough to understand your situations and where you are. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
See,
you're not gonna always get aces. So my list, as it comes to, you have
let me just say this real quick.
Hold up. Open-minded to new ideas and experiences that life runs in grays. Wise enough. Hold up. Let me know. You said you want a list.
But you just said something. I can't respond to your thought now. I can't even respond.
No, I'm a bully. Remember?
Yeah, you're a bully to women.
I'm a bully right now. Damn it. Shut up and listen to me.
All I was gonna say was, back when I was in my 30s and 20s, I remember chicks used to be like, "This song represents me."
Forever.
Now, shoot, I'm just like, shit. I'm too old. Shoot, just tell me the list now. Go into your list. Be open minded.
You know, there's things. Yeah, boy, you lucky we on the mic. Um, Open-minded to new ideas and experiences, understanding that life runs in grades, but wise enough to know that what constitutes what you want in life are black and white. Those going back to those core values. Going back to those core values. Um, Always, and this is the thing my dear mother used to always say, she used to preach this to me. Goes back to that core value thing. To thine own self be true. But at the same time, you need to understand who you are to understand what that means. Um,
Is that paper filled? Is all of that your list? For people that can't see it, I just got a peek at Reggie's
no, no,
sheet. It's like
that's
the
not. Hold
whole
up,
page is filled with words. Okay, continue.
that's
To
not what
thine
it is.
own self be true.
Hold up. 3 pages.
You got a list that's 3 pages long, and you criticizing women for having the list is too long.
Yeah, that's why I did the song.
Okay,
But
continue.
did you cut my wisdom on?
Okay,
I mean,
continue.
just
We have 8 minutes for your 3 pages.
I'm not gonna read the whole list.
Oh,
But
okay. Give me the highlights.
ruthless when it comes to getting to business with those who try to take advantage of you. Graceful and compassionate to the vulnerable. Smart enough to stay in a state of stupidity, but dumb enough to not stress trivial stuff. Self-reliant and self-sufficient. Not overall being financial. That has nothing to do with being financial. You being self-sufficient, no, that has, everyone, you can make money anywhere. Um, I'm always, this is the one thing going back from the old school. I want a relationship that's like a salsa dance or a jazz ensemble. And if you understand the concept of what that is, it's a rhythm and move, and there's nothing, it's structured, but it's not structured. It's not a A, B, C, D, E, because you know me, I don't work that way. But there is a structure where it's controlled chaos. Is a dance. I mean, as I see a relationship, I need a dance partner. I need a drummer to my bass. I need to be like, okay, we're gonna go here now. And they are, oh, we're switching times, we're switching this, and you flow with it. Goes back to what I said before about the open-mindedness. I need a nonconformist, which means that they're not gonna always sit there and think about, oh, we're tradition and this is what we did. No, 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 no. Traditions need to be weighed to see if they still are applicable to the times that you're in. It goes back to the fact that you may have a coping mechanism back when you were 15 years old that got you through those dark times. But that coping mechanism now may be a hindrance to you because you're not in the same environment. So you need to change. You need to be adaptable. You need to be flexible. Um, critical thinker, critical thinker, passionate and imaginative lover. Sounds like an Icy Brothers song. Um, be articulate with your feelings. Don't expect me to read your mind or anticipate your moves. I don't get paid enough to do that. Like, um, the power struggle in relationships that needs to be articulated. Um, and like I said, understand who the hell you are. And this is the big one. This is the part where you got on me about test. Understand who the hell you are. If you had to sit there and take tests, you need to go to your friends or whatever. Take the 5 love languages, take attachment styles, HESCO, go to your friends and blah, blah. But before you come to the table and you start demanding shit from me, understand who the hell you are. Because if I give you that and you're still unhappy, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. And I'm not gonna sit there and say I'll know who I am per se, all after 51 years, but I have a pretty good general idea of what I need to feel going back to originally to feel emotionally secure and vulnerable. And I have no problems articulating that. When I first started dating my wife, and this is the list I had to I had to amend. I did give my wife a list. My mother was the one who sat there and said, "Hey, yo, you need to give a list and blah blah," and start negotiating that stuff. I gave her a list. She was like, "What the hell is this? This is what I need," as if it was a business deal.
Okay. I will say that the thing that I find interesting about this is when I am the person that said that I think that men need to start demanding things of women in the same way. So if they come in with a list, you come with a list. But you and I have also had many conversations about how women give men lists that are way too long. And you come with a list that's 3 pages long. I have a list that consists of three things. And, and
Well, because I knew you and you wanted a list. And that's why I sit there and said, I could
really,
diss my stuff. I could diss my stuff in the songs.
apparently not, because when I first brought this up in that podcast a while ago, I asked, "What are the things that you need?" And
Yeah,
that's
that
when it
need the
was like,
gambling mentality.
I don't know. All I need is to be heard. I need someone that's open minded, and I need sex. Those three things encompass everything else that I would need from a woman. If she listens to me, we're straight. If she's open
Okay,
minded, we're
if
straight.
I summarize two things, I need the gambler's mentality. I need you to make me, and this is the old one. This has been my staple. Any woman I've ever dated, I always said this. I need the gap. Well, the new. I need you to make me feel like a Prince song. I need to know that when things get rough, you will fight God with a toothpick and dental floss. And the new one is, I need you to have the gambler's mentality. So that's my list.
Well, if you first of all, I ain't fighting God for nobody.
Well,
So
I'm not dating you, so it's not about you.
yeah, if you do find a woman that will like come choose you over God,
I didn't say that.
if you fighting God, that's making a choice of you because you be fighting God because but that's way too deep. But yeah, they be choosing God over you.
Mm.
But yeah, and as far as the gambler mentality when it's like goes and back into the what,
Hey, sing the song for me.
huh?
Need to
No,
know
don't do that.
when to
Don't do
hold
that.
them.
If you do that, I guess it goes back to the conversation in the last podcast about weakness and why are you still with that person? Because you definitely would need to know when to
Know
fold.
when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Boy, that is very interesting, and that's why it's good to have you here because you are not in these streets. It is a true perspective from a married man, because I can see your 51-year-old ass going out and telling a woman on a date, "I need somebody." Go listen to the lyrics of The Gambler.
No, 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 no. I'm not gonna sit there and tell them no, because you know me. Come on now, you know me. I'm not gonna sit there and they have to do their own homework anymore. Well, at 51, I used to do it when I was in my 20s. At 51, because I did it in my 20s to see how much interest you actually had in me to do your homework. Because if you told me these things,
Now we got 30 seconds, so be
well,
quick.
we'll nope.
Mhm.
If okay, if you told me to do these things, I would do it. It's always like you said, the whole reciprocity thing. You told me, yo, go look at this song and try to figure it out. You know me, I'm gonna do my homework all night, all day. I need you to have the same effort.
I get that. I get that. All right. Interesting. Say goodbye, Reggie.
Goodbye, Reggie.